Hello and welcome back. Today I wanted to share a recipe for Instant Pot Pho, which a lot of Americans we will pronounce as pho since it's spelled P-H-O. So I'm going to have all of the items here itemized for you in the bottom with the amount of servings that it makes as well as the measurements that you're going to need for all of the items. And all right, let's get started. All right, so we are in sunny Arizona. So I have everything laid out here on the picnic table because I usually do a lot of my cooking outside. So I have the grill over there as well as the tandoor, Instant Pot, everything is on the barbecue. So today is going to be 80 some degrees, so I always take advantage rather than heating up the house. So first off, we're going to go through these spices. All right, before we get started in the spices, I make sure I have the lid to my Instant Pot as well as the inner bowl. I bring it out because as I'm cooking, I put everything inside and cover it just to keep the aroma inside. You also want to have a saute pan as well as maybe a set of tongs or a silicone spoon or something like that so we can get started. First off, we're going to be the spices. You're going to need some cloves, sesame seeds, fennel seeds, anise, and then some cinnamon. We got all of these in our in Kerala at our last trip. We went to a spice garden, and so I want to use those as much as I can since they're so fabulous being so fresh. Next, you're going to need an onion. I cut it into more or less big quarters because you're going to brown those as well. You're going to need some ginger, and then you can use the meat. This here is the shank with bone in, beef shank with bone in, or you can get oxtail or any other kind of beef flavor. I also have on hand, I'll have water and then also beef broth you can do as well, the pan. You're going to also need some fish sauce, any of your choice. This happens to be the one that we get all the time at the international store. And then you're going to want some rice vermicelli. You're going to want some basil, Thai basil, bean sprouts, and then I also do chicken as the meat. Now you can do beef sirloin, you can do chicken, you can do whatever you want meat-wise. Everybody in my family tends to like the beef broth with chicken as the meat, so I do that. But then I also do the meat. I do the beef from the shank as well as the chicken mixed in my bowl with beef broth. Okay, so I'm over here at the grill barbecue, and I'm going to take all of the dry spices and put them in the saute pan to get them lightly toasted, and then we'll go on to the next step. So we're going to stir these around, let them get toasted and roasted. You'll see the fennel turning a little bit tan, more brown, as well as you'll smell all of the fragrance of the spices mixed. And then when that is very aromatic, then we're going to go and put them into some cheesecloth. So I have a cheesecloth baggie that I'm going to put that in. Okay, so I've toasted the spices. They smell very aromatic. So then now I'm just going to tie this up and throw it into the inner lining. Okay, so after I have toasted the spices, put them down in here in the bag, I will go on to putting the onion and ginger in the saute pan that I just used. I don't rinse it out, don't do anything like that. It will just marinate in those flavors, that smokiness of the toasted spices. So I'm going to go ahead and throw these into the pan with a little bit of butter. You can use whatever kind you have on hand. I think we have Smart Balance or whatever is handy. Throw it in there and we're going to saute those. Okay, so I've got the onion in here and I'm going to toast and saute these onions and the ginger until it gets a nice brown blister on the onions on all sides, and then same with the ginger as well. You can see how some of this onion is getting that nice crisp caramelized look to it, is same as the ginger is that pieces. Just keep doing that. You'll flip it over once or twice to get it nicely done on both sides. Okay, I've got the onion and ginger nicely blistered and caramelized, so I'm going to go ahead and just pour it right into the pan. Alright, so I have added more of the meat in to get browned all the way around. I'm just going to flip it as it starts to ease a little bit. Again, this is the beef shank. You can also get oxtail, whatever kind of meat you kind of want to get. And then you're going to just do this until it gets brown and crispy on the edges. Okay, typically with the meat, I usually get oxtail, but with having, we had obviously a pandemic come through, we couldn't always get things. Here in Arizona, it wasn't as easily available to get all of these things at your local grocery store, since you had to go about a half hour to any of the nearest closest ethnic stores. So I ended up going to my local Fry's, and I would try different kinds of cuts of beef. You want something with a bone because you want the marrow, so it gives you all those flavors, and then sticking with the beef because that's what our family prefers, the beef versus the chicken broth. So this I found worked really well. And then when I can, I go to our international market, which we are able to get to now, and I stock up on some oxtail. But I also do this beef shank. Both of them, my family hasn't noticed which one I use more than the other, and it's worked out well. Okay, so the beef shank is done. So I'm going to take it and just pour it right into the Instant Pot. Okay, so I've poured the meat, all the spices are in there. Now we're going to go ahead and top off with the beef broth. So I have two 32-ounce containers of beef broth. So I'm going to throw this in there. I have two of these, and then I'm going to top off with what's left with water. So I'm going to go and I'm going to keep filling until I hit this max line. So it's going to be two of these 32-ounce containers of the beef broth. It's going in. And then I top off to the fill line, to the max line, with water. Okay, hit the max line. Okay, so the lid's going on. And make sure you have it in sealed. And then I'm going to do it down here for, I usually do about 62 minutes. Oops. And then we'll go ahead and let it come up. Okay, so now the Instant Pot, it's all ready, and the top has gone down. So now you can go ahead and open it. So I'm gonna open it, and then you're gonna see all of the ingredients here. So we are gonna actually start scooping these out. So I just scooped them into the pan that I had roasted these in. So I just scooped everything out. You're gonna take out all the spices, you're gonna take out the onions, the ginger, the meat, all of it. And then if you are going to save the meat and eat it in your soup, then set it off to the side on a plate or a bowl or whatever you want to have it for. And then you would tear it up accordingly. This, otherwise, you're going to just go ahead and toss or throw it, in garbage, later, whatever. So I just used the pan that I had roasted all of these on. And you're going to see the meat is literally falling off the bone. So I usually save it. So I put that all on a plate. To one side I have the meat, and then to the other is the spices and any, there's the ginger and the onions, so those can be eaten as well. So you can throw them in your soup by all means. They're nice and cooked, and it smells very, very good. All right, so we've taken everything out. Now we've taken all of the meat, spices, and the veggies out of the pot. And then you're gonna see that the max line has now lowered because you've taken those items out. So this is where it kind of comes into taste test. So taste it, see if it's okay. Sometimes, you like it more beefy tasting. Sometimes you want a little bit more salty, so you're gonna add accordingly. So I usually, no matter what, this is how I always do it. I go in and I take the water and I fill it to the max line, back up to the max line, and then I give that a stir to get it all mixed up. And then this is where you're gonna wanna, again, taste it and see if it's salty enough for you, or if you need to add a little bit of salt, you can add salt, but I usually just use the fish sauce. So I go in and add according to taste. So I pretty much have this down, so I know exactly what I need or my family prefers, and then I just stir it all together. So I continue to stir it and taste it, so that do a little bit at a time. You don't want to do too much fish sauce at once, or salt, because it can become too salty pretty quick. So I do a little bit, stir, and then I taste it. Okay, so now that you have it to the taste that you prefer, you're gonna go ahead and get your bowls ready. The video, I did not show you how to boil your meat or whatever. The chicken is what we had, or the noodles. That's just gonna be by package and how you wanna do it. So I have gone and put the basil, the Thai basil in the pot in the bowl, as well as bean sprouts, chicken, and the noodles. So I have all of that in the bowl ready to go. And then you're going to scoop some of the soup onto those. All right, so we have added the broth. So you've got the chicken, we've got the noodles, we've got the bean sprouts. You can add onion, you can add jalapeno, some as well add some lime to it or some hoisin sauce. This is pretty much how my kids like it. It's just the noodles, the bean sprouts, meat, and the basil. All right, so that's my Instant Pot recipe. I'm excited to hear what you thought about it, if you tried it, if you are going to add anything or take something away from it. Be sure to subscribe and like, and then leave me a comment of a recipe that you would like to see me do next. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.